It still says, oh, I think it's live. Yeah, we're live. Okay. So hello and welcome to the SCP Show Q&A edition. I am Matt. Nice to meet you all. And I'm joined, of course, by Damon and Paige. Introduce yourselves, guys.
Hi guys, how are we?
Howdy, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
How are we all?
So this is a special episode of the SCP Show because we've actually got interactive Q&A happening throughout the broadcast. So if you're watching on YouTube at the moment, you should see a little annotation that you can click that says something about Q&A. So click on that. A new window should pop open. And in there, you can ask us any questions you want. Try and make it Supercoach related. But yeah, you just ask what you want and then we'll answer them throughout the broadcast. But before we get to that, we'll give you a bit of time to get your questions in. Let's talk about how our teams went over the weekend. Paige, you are Chocolate Hat once again.
Yeah, that graphic, I think.
This is I'm having some form that really reflects your sort of form, Joyce. So not ideal for me at the moment. I can't take a trick with my squad whatsoever, and I've got the list clogger Trent Cotchin holding me down. Look, it was actually pretty good that I made 2,300 because it was a shocking week. Jench was terrible. I still had for solo. He was terrible. Overall, it's just been a terrible year for Rampage. We're suffering from a premiership hangover.
How about you, Damon? How'd you do?
Yeah, not too bad. Ended up scoring 2,337. Went up in ranking. I'm now ranked. I slid back to 7,000. Now I'm 5,887. Not that low yet. And last week I traded in Yench for Langdon, and I was speaking to you off air as well about this. I've had a terrible run with players that I've got in who have been injured in the first week I got them. So I got Yench in at the expense of Langdon, and Yench of course got concussed. Prior to that, I got Wingard in. He, of course, got concussed as well in his first game in my team. And also, who was the other one I had in? For solo, of course. I had him in the first week in my side on the Anzac Day game, and he injured himself as well. So I'm quite cursed. So if anyone out there is going for Stevie J this week, watch out because I might just curse him.
Well, I'm going for Stevie J this week, so thanks a lot. Yeah, well, I pretty cursed myself. I got Job Watson a couple of weeks ago, 2 decent scores, and then he's out for 3 months. So, yeah, not good. And yeah, I don't have much bench cover either. You've got Hallahan who's been dropped. You've got Akers who's injured. You've got Joel Tippett who's injured. You've got Jed Hughes who's rested this week. Matt McDonough has been dropped for whatever stupid reason for Chris Newman. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Just get rid of this Supercoach god and below my name. And yeah, it's not a good state of affairs for me. But I'll be bringing in Steve Johnson and was I bringing Yench as well for Langdon and Watson. So hopefully that'll pan out all right. But knowing my luck, they'll both get concussed. So.
And should we dare mention how many trades we've got left?
You go first since lowest is.
This happens every year, I think, to me, and you guys always take the piss out of me, so to speak, and probably rightly so as well, because every year I just burn straight through my trades, but I'm a trade-happy sort of guy. That's the fun of the game, and I'm down to, well, let's just say I can count the number of trades on one hand if I had a finger missing, so there you go. So I've got 4 left, and yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with my side. The coverage is not too bad on the bench. I've got Shenton, and I've kept hold of Akers as well. I thought, why not? You can't really down trade him to anyone in order to make 60k. It's not worth it. So I've got Shenton and Akers as my mid coverage. In my rucks, I've got Derricks and King for Melbourne, who's just sitting there resting. And up forward, I've got Ambrose and Cameron. So not too bad, but in defence, I've got Langford, who I think will probably find it hard to get back into the side, as well as Giorgio as well. So not too bad. I'm sitting pretty with that. And as for trades, I did mention Stevie J, bringing him in for Watson, so he can make a cool 60,000 odd in that one trade. And also completing my entire side now. So this is why I'm happy with 4 trades. Would love to have more, but you know, take what you can. And I've traded Louis Taylor out for Dane Zorko. Now, some of you might remember that I've actually traded him out previously, going back probably about 4 weeks ago, when I was getting Pendlebury in. But he was the sacrificial lamb then, so I've brought him back in to complete my side, and I think he's a decent price, averaging 93, priced at 408,900.
You realise it's only round 13, right? And you've got 4 trades left. This is going to be a disaster for you, Damon. It's going to be the best carnage I've ever seen in my life, and I've got my popcorn. I'm metaphorical popcorn here, and I'm just eating it, waiting for your team to crumble.
I'm taking these risks, Joyce, purely because I know your side isn't travelling to Crash Hot, so I'm like, why not? Let's just make it entertaining. Let's make it a little bit close, take some risks. But yeah, I mean, how many weeks left in the season? 7, 8, 9 weeks or something. So
enough weeks.
4 trades, 4 trades for 9 rounds. If I just don't trade for half of them. And then head into the finals with my 4 trades, I'll be well placed.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
But it already worked against me because last week I was hoping to save a trade with Watson getting injured, though I had to use another one, so I should have had 5. I was only looking at using 1 this week, but yeah, had to do it. What about you, Paigey?
Look. Terrible trading for me this week. Not happy with it. I need to get Stevie J in, so unfortunately I'm pretty limited in terms of upgrading. What I did, however, this week was I've traded for Solo into the midfield, going via Chad Wingard, who's currently my midfield, so I can push him forward, and then I can turn Faz into Stevie J. But, however, I've got to make about 150k to make up there. And unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to really roll the dice now and probably drop Derek's for someone like Loudon, who, even though he's not playing this week, he frees up enough money for me to actually make that move and get a full, complete premium side in. So that's where I'm at the moment, but it's going to be a bit dicey. I think I think everyone's probably struggling in terms of bench coverage because they're really...
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So I'm probably ending with that.
Well, yeah, I think we should just get straight into the teams because Paige is in whoop-whoop with her internet. So we'll start off with Carlton against Hawthorn. Juddy's back. What do you think, man? He's coming in for Jeff Garlett.
Sorry, what was that?
Juddy's back in the team. What do you think he's going to do for Carlton coming up against...
Sorry. Got to be excited there. I thought I heard you say Judd, and you did. Yeah, he's back this week, and quite happy about that, of course. Who did you say went out for him? Garlett, was it?
Yeah.
He was admitted. Well, there we go. I thought, well, his form's been up and down, so it's not too surprising there. Good inclusion. But just looking at the side, yeah, there's on the interchange, yeah, Waite, Tui, Robinson, Everett. And I can't really see a late change. I think, I think Judd will definitely play. And yeah, I mean, probably could start. Oh, he's okay. He's named on the field. I was going to say he could start as a sub again, but they don't want the same thing to happen as what happened last time. So probably end as the sub.
Okay, and for Hawthorn, Luke Loudon's out, which a lot of people were looking at down trading Derek's him just to free up a bit of cash. I know Damon would if he had a few more trades, but no, he's not able to do that. And David Hale's back in, so I have him in my my draft league. So you know, fingers crossed he can finally start doing stuff for me. Hartung's out with an elbow injury, so yeah, he's been a bit up and down for the people that decided to bring him in. And Ben Ross, I think, is coming in for him. So it'll be good to see how Ross does. But what do you think? I think Hawthorn can still take the chocolates. Do you think, David?
Yeah, I think they'll take this in a canter.
Yeah.
But although, having said that, if Carlton put in a decent performance like they did last week against Geelong, they could probably push them, but I don't think they can win. But also, just on Hawthorn as well, Ben Ross, he plays his first game for this year. Is that correct? Come off the rookie list?
Might be his first game. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so might be one to look at, but as we've seen with Langford and Hallahan, and of course all Hartong more due to injury, but with the Hawthorn rookies, their spot in the side isn't cemented, especially with the senior players. They've still yet to return to come back into the team. So I had Hallahan last week and traded him out to Shenton. So that was the main reason why. So if you're going to jump on any Hawthorn rookies, it should be fraught with danger, I guess.
Yeah. I think he'll have like a similar output to what Simpkin does, because he's not, you know, a rookie. He came from North Melbourne, like Simpkin came from Geelong, so you know, you should get sort of similar sorts of stuff from him. So be interesting to see. Moving on to the next game, which I was raging about, which is Richmond Fremantle. So talk about taking things in a canter. That'll be Fremantle, even without Luke McFarlane and Michael Johnson, who are the key backs now, both with knee injuries, coming in with Colin Sylvia and Alex Silvani. Richmond have baffled me with Chris Newman coming in for Matt McDonough, and that's not just because I have McDonough in my Supercoach side. He's a good young player. He was one of the few players that really tried all game last week against North Melbourne. So to see someone like Chris Newman, who's not going to be a part of the next finals side for Richmond, however long that will be, there's no point in playing him. Give him, like, you know, a few farewell games, sure, but this should be his last year. Aaron Edwards coming in as well, not Supercoach relevant. Hampson's coming in, maybe Supercoach relevant for draft sides, and Dylan Grimes comes in as well. So some okay ins, not really though. Pretty's out with a suspension. Ben Griffiths is out because he's got about 2 touches over the past 2 weeks, and Matt Thomas is also out with a suspension. So this should be a steamroll. Let's go on to the next game. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Speaking of steamroll, when you say that, I get the image of, I don't know if you've seen it in the first Austin Powers movie, when the guy on the steam, he's driving the steamroller and he's driving towards the worker and he's like, no, it's like 50 minutes away, get out of the way. This is going to be what Richmond and Fremantle is going to be like. Everyone's going to see it coming. But just on that, I had McDonough as well, like yourself, Joyce, and I actually traded him out and kept Lloyd in his place, and of course Lloyd was dropped the next week, so that didn't really work for me. But how much has McDonough gone up off the top of your head? Like
he's at about 250 now, so 100,000.
Damn it! So more than bloody Lloyd. That hurts. But, yeah. Oh well. What can you do?
What can you do? Moving on. We've got the next game, which is Sydney against Port Adelaide. This should be a really good game. You know, top of the table sort of clash in Sydney as well, so Sydney have the home ground advantage. No Kurt Tippett though, so I worry about Buddy scoring. He only scores very well with. I say that he's only got 3 or 4 games to go from, but he's only scored very well when he's played with Kurt Tippett. So it'll be interesting to see. Derek's is scoring Mike down as well since Mike Pike's back in the side.
And just on Tippett, I didn't catch the game last week, but he injured his knee, he tweaked his knee. But do you know what time, like what quarter he went off?
I do not. I was very, very busy on the weekend.
I'm not too sure when he went off, but looking at the scores afterwards, I was quite disappointed with Franklin's score, and then thought, what happened here? And then saw Tippett was injured, and I'm like, So that might explain it, depending on when he went off. And I think, he plays a good decoy role, I think, even though it doesn't need to be decoy. Tippett is such a good player, but he takes the attention off Buddy, so it's not good signs for those of us who traded Franklin in. But looking at Port, there's one omission there that might still hurt quite a few people, I think, that still have him. Jared Pollock, he's been ruled out with an ankle injury. So if you've kept him up until now, you might want to consider, I don't know how serious it is, if it's a 1 to 2 week situation or what, but for those that kept him, you'd want to have some bench coverage at least for this week. Otherwise, think about trading him out. Now with him goes out Sam Gray, who was omitted along with Benjamin Newton, so a couple of youngsters there for Port. And in they've got Angus Monfries and Travis Boak and Matt White. So I think there might be some people out there with Travis Boak as a bit of a point of difference. Good player, good selection. So comes back into the side and injects a bit of talent there, and hopefully a few more points into your side if you've got him.
Mm-hmm. And moving on, West Coast, Gold Coast. Tell us about that, Damon.
Yes, now West Coast, Gold Coast, big return in Josh Kennedy, probably not in Supercoach terms, but big return there. Scott Lysett, backup ruckman, coming in to the side, along with Brad Shepherd, who was a nice little point of difference if you got him at the start of the season. Out goes Sharon Wellingham, who was admitted, along with Dean Cox. I think that's going to hurt quite a few people who have him. He's gone out through soreness, they've listed him as, so I don't know if they're trying to hide something there or if it's just due to being an old man. And Darren Glass is retired, of course, today, effective immediately, so he goes out of the side as well. Nick Nat Nui plays his 100th game, and just on Nick Nat, he's turned his form around, and I think he scored, off the top of my head, about 114 last week. He was one player I was looking at potentially getting, because I wasn't sure if Jacobs was going to pull up Saw or not, so he was on my list, and I didn't use my second trade until he was confirmed a definite starter Jacobs. So if anyone jumped on Nick Nat and downgraded, say, a Jacobs to him, you'd be quite happy with his returns at the moment, and hopefully he can keep going with it. As for Gold Coast, we've got Carmichael Hunt going out, Clay Cameron. There might be a few people out there that have Clay Cameron.
Yeah, a few.
Apart from that, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be
not much to say in terms of Gold Coast. Yeah, I'm really kind of on Rejoice a few weeks ago. I really told people to get on Cox just because from his past scoring history against the few sides he was coming up against, he was gunning it. And he's had a few bad weeks, and this was the week where he was supposed to go bang because he averages 150 against Gold Coast. Now he's out with soreness, so. Yeah, sorry guys. I can't affect Saul Cox though. So
Saul Cox is feeling a bit limp.
Yeah.
Put him in the jock strap.
Yeah. Brisbane GWS game of the round. Tell us about that, David.
Yes, milestone coming up. Well, there's no change here for Brisbane. They're quite content having. Have they had 2 wins on the trot now? I think they have, haven't they, against Carlton and the Dogs now? So. Turning their form around quite well. So no change for them in terms of milestones. Dane Zorko, I'm getting him back into my side and probably putting the curse on him, the moz on him yet again. So
don't do that.
Apologies in advance to those people who have him. For GWS, there's Phil Davis coming back into the side, returning from that major injury to his kidney. So good luck to him. Wouldn't really affect anyone out there. No one would really have him. Jeremy Cameron comes into the side as well, out of form. Hopefully you can find some. Josh Hunt, the senior citizen, comes back in, and Josh Kelly. I think. Do you reckon anyone would have Josh Kelly in their side still?
You shouldn't still have him. No. I think there's no one Supercoach relevant in the GWS side. Honestly, that are in or out anymore.
Having said that, though, one player to keep an eye on. Last week there was a lot of rookie ruckmen who were making their debut. There was Loudon, another bloke here for GWS who was omitted, Rory Lobb. He showed some good signs when he was played up forward, especially he looked alright, but he gets the flick along with Jacksh, Jed Lamb and Curtly Hampton, but no real effect there in terms of Supercoach. Looking at the next game, it's Geelong up against St Kilda. Dawson Simpson comes into the side. Brad Hartman, he's a new one. Now, I must make mention as well, these are Sunday games that I'm talking about here, so extended interchange. Taylor Hunt.
With Jed Buse rested.
I was working up to that. You stole
I just can't take it anymore.
Jed Buse, I love here, it doesn't say rested, it says managed. Jed Buse managed along with Hamish McIntosh, which might hurt a few people out there, who is also being managed. Yeah, so don't know what's happening there. But coming into the side, Dawson Simpson, Brad Hartman, Taylor Hunt, Darcy Lang, and Travis Farco. And for the for the Saints, they've got returning Jimmy Webster. I think, does Paige still have him? She's pretty much had him the entire year. Speaking of Paige, is she Is she coming back
I
into
don't know.
the
I
room?
re-invited her, and she's just her crap internet is just yeah.
She's
Anyway,
she's in the abyss.
yeah.
Yeah, she did have. I think she wanted to trade him out last week only because he was omitted because of the undisciplinary act that he had off field. But also coming into the side is Armitage and Gwilt as well. But that's
Not really
about it.
relevant, coach-wise.
No.
There's also Adelaide, North Melbourne. Few Supercoach relevant things there. Matt Crouch, you probably would have traded him out though. He had kind of peaked in price. He's come in. Matt Wright as well. He's been very up and down this year. I had him. I traded him out. He's one of the few players that I traded out at the right time. So yeah, Brent Riley as well, but he's not relevant. Cameron Ellis-Yolman is out. Jared Lyons is out, and Charlie Cameron is out.
Oh no! I didn't realize he's out.
With a groin injury. So see a bench cover because there's no hope. Moving on to North Melbourne, you've got Lindsay Thomas and Robbie Tarrant coming in, so some more firepower up forward there for the Kangas, and out Sam Wright and Majak Dor, who, yeah, he showed glimpses on the weekend, but not really enough.
Yeah.
That's about it to say about that game. Collingwood Dogs, you've got Jesse White, Taylor Adams, Tim Broomhead, Ben Kennedy coming in. Again, this is the extended bench, and Tyson Goldsack out with a knee injury. Not really anything relevant there. I mean, a few people would have jumped on Adams at the start of the year, but yeah, not really relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe keep an eye on Broomhead. For the Dogs in are Matthew Boyd, Matt Austin, Liam Jones, and Jason Johannesson. Coming out is Christian Howard, so no one really relevant there either. So I think we can just move along there from that game to Essendon against Melbourne. Tell us about that, Damon.
Yes. Now the big news from this is, apart from the big news relating to Essendon and their infraction notices, the show cause letters, is Watson. So if he's going to get a show cause letter and get suspended, he won't care anyway. He's on the other sidelines because he has to recover from a hip injury. So it was a ligament injury, so a long-term injury, and he's listed as I think it's listed as 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yeah, 8 to 10. But wait, let me just get this little thing up here. Hey, it worked. There we go. Went to a lot of trouble making this. Yeah, it's listed as 8 to 10. He was averaging 113. And now, Joyce, tell us about your little adventure that you had with Watson. How long did it last?
I traded him in for the Dreamtime game, and he gave me 1.5 weeks, and he's done. That's my adventure. It's not much of an adventure. It's more like a stroll. And then
a stroll in the park.
I mean, he looks devastated in that picture. I mean, look at him holding his head.
You were just as devastated when you found out about it, weren't you?
Wait.
As was I, though. I mean, I'm down to 4 trades now, and I was planning on having 5, and I had to use 1 on him. So
you're planning on having 5, just being a bit conservative, having 5 trades in round 13.
5 sounds better than 4, so.
And Melbourne, not much relevant in fantasy-wise. Jay Kennedy-Harris is out, though, so if you've held on to him this long, bad luck, because there's lots of other trades that need to be done. Geordie McKenzie, Aidan Riley, is it Dean Kent?
Yeah, Dean Kent, yeah.
And Nicholson as well are the ins, but honestly don't know. I mean, I think Kent's more of the forward playing. So if they want to go for like, then Kennedy Harris for Kent would probably be the way they go. But now that we've gone through all the teams, just to remind you, this is interactive. It's Q&A. So, excuse me. If you're watching us on YouTube, the bottom left, whatever, corner should say Q&A interaction. Just click on that and you can ask your questions. We'll start running through them now. You can have the first one, Damon. What's the news on McAvoy? What do you think people should do if they have McAvoy?
Where are we here? Do I have to click on this?
No, I got it.
Okay, so big boy McAvoy. Now, he hasn't come back to the side yet, has he? He's still out.
No, he hasn't.
I'm not too sure what his prognosis was. Like, is it extended or?
It's really been up and down for him all year because at the start of the year he got injured in round 3 or so. So. Yeah. And ever since then, it's kind of been up and down for him. And rucks aren't exactly the most reliable players lately. I mean, you've got Mumford, who was supposed to be playing, and a lot of people traded him in after a great 3 rounds, like me, and then he was a laid out, and a lot of people wasted a lot of money. I think, oh, if you wanted to go like for like, if you could spend a bit more money, maybe go back to Mumford, because he did have that shocking first game back against Richmond where he only scored 40, but he's got 115 and 112 since then, and he's shown this year that he can really, get those big scores, because he had a 132, 158, and 164 to start the season. So maybe Mumford's the one to get on there.
Yeah, he's the one I would have said as well. I had Mumford as well, and was heartbroken when he got injured, and could probably see it coming because he's such a big bloke. And they do call him sausages because he loves to eat a lot of food, and I think he ate like 32 snags or something on record. So
he's not a big boy for no reason.
Exactly right. He's a big boy, but with that weight that he's lugging around, I think that might have contributed to his injuries. But yeah, like I was loving his output when I got him into my side. I actually traded him in after Ryder got injured, which would have been about round 3 or 4, and his output was really good. So as long as he can stay fit, you'll be quite happy with the return I think he'll give you. And apart from that, there aren't really many. Hampson, he was one to get on just purely for his price rise, but of course he's gone back to his ripping Carlton ways, and he's shown his true form, true colours. Yeah. And he's one that you wouldn't get on. I can't really think of anyone else. Goldstein, for value, perhaps he scored quite big last weekend. I know that. About 130.
Super consistent as well, so he's a decent one to get on as well. But and Cox, of course, is sore. So yeah, not many options.
Who else is there?
I'd go with Mumford personally.
Yeah, I'd go with Mumford. Otherwise, Jacobs is probably the other one. He was pulled up a bit sore last week, but he played, as you know. So I wouldn't worry about any injury like lingering over his head.
Sure. Next question. This person asks, I am unlucky enough to have Watson in both the regular and draft forms of the game. It's bad luck for you. For the regular form, I'm thinking of taking a punt, downgrading to Andrew Swallow, which allows me to upgrade from McDonald to Hanley. Do you see Swallow becoming a super premium this year? I do not, because he's played 4 games, so you can kind of excuse him in his first, maybe his second game if he had subpar scoring, which he did. He scored 67 and a 59. He had an 87 after that, so improvement. And then he had 109 against Richmond, so improvement again. But he's only had 100-plus game in 4 games, and for me, that's not something a super premium does. And it was against Richmond, who just fell asleep after halftime, so you can't really count that. If you were looking, I mean, Steve Johnson's only 40,000 more than that. So I would be looking at bringing in someone like him, just purely based on potential output, because Johnson has it in spades, and then it's the midfielders that score you the big scores. So you can wait a couple of weeks to go to a different defender, Like, you don't need Hanley now, but you're not going to get Johnson much cheaper than what he's at right now. What do you think, Damon?
Yeah. In terms of Swallow, I would probably pass him up. The fact that he had that major injury last year in the Achilles says to me, like, if it was like a hamstring or something, but to me an Achilles is kind of like coming back from a knee, and wouldn't really trust it because, I mean, it's probably more structurally sound, the Achilles, as opposed to ligaments in a knee. But, I mean, it's going to take a little while for him to regain his form. We saw with Roughhead when he did his Achilles, he came back fit and firing and just blew everyone out of the water. But with what we've seen from Swallow so far, I wouldn't put any trust in him at the moment. And as you said, like, for an extra, what was it, 30, 40 grand, you might as well go for someone like Stevie J, like we have. And in down trading Watson to Stevie J, you make about 65,
70, I think.
65,000 odd. So you can put that in your kitty towards upgrades in the coming weeks. And so the main reason you want to do this was because of getting Hanley. So yeah, Hanley's been good, but
No, I think Stevie J is more important than Hanley.
Exactly. I'd go for Stevie J. He's got a bigger ceiling, more consistent. I mean, he's been down in the past couple of weeks, stemming from that week against Freo, where he got blanketed by Crowley. But yeah, I'd definitely go for Stevie J. Apart from him, if you were looking to go for someone around the same price mark as Watson, I wouldn't look past Callum Ward. He was one player I was looking at a few weeks ago. He's quite consistent. He's a good point of difference as well. But again, I think he's around. He might be like about $5,000-ish more than Watson or thereabouts, but not much. But I mean, for what you're getting with Stevie J, you're getting someone who can score the same sort of output as Ward, someone who can score with a high ceiling as well, and on top of that, you're getting 65 odd worth of money in your kit. So I'd go for Stevie J and then Callum Ward.
Yep. Good analysis there. All right, next question. Is Jay Schultz a keep or a trade? By Thai Chaddington. Honestly, I had to look up Schultz's average because I had no idea what it was.
What do I?
It's a 78.6. And I think he's way too inconsistent to ever have him, to be honest. I mean, if he's not scoring 100 plus every week when Porter top of the ladder, he's not going to ever do that. And that's what you want at this stage of the year. You want your forwards to be scoring at least 90 plus every week. And with a key forward averaging 78, that's just not good enough for a key forward, in my opinion. He did score 116 against St Kilda in round 12. I doubt he'll be able to do that against Sydney, but watch him prove me wrong. And he's only got over 100 4 times this year out of 12 rounds. So I would trade him. I'm not sure who I would trade him to, but it's someone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm of the same viewpoint. Like, I usually don't select key position players as it is anyway because they're quite inconsistent. I made one exception this year, starting off with Jared Ruffhead, and already he's been inconsistent majorly and quite frequently throughout the season, up until last week when he scored 184 to lift his average up to 95. But before that, he was languishing, in the 80s, and I was quite disappointed with his output. And I know a lot of people out there, a lot of coaches were actually thinking of trading him out or already had done so because of that. And I also got him Franklin as well, and we've seen with what's happened with Tippett, it may impact on his output as well. So with Schultz, I don't really see him as a super coach relevant player for mine. So if you've got him, I'd look at getting rid of him. What was he? Do you know what he's priced at, Joyce?
He is around 350.
Okay.
So you can't really get much value for him. Like, his break-even is quite low at the moment, so if you were to trade him, maybe wait a couple of weeks because there are all of these injuries, so there are more pressing matters than Schultz at the moment. But you don't want to keep him in the long run.
The only option I would say, and it's a risky one, considering we're only going on one score, would be getting in Stefan Martin.
No, not Stefan.
Not Stefan.
Yeah.
Because I think his price was at 240 or something. I think it is, top of my head.
Something like.
Yeah. So you'll be able to get some cash for him, but that'll be the only upside. And again, it's a risk going on one game. I mean, the other upside is he's going to get consistent time on field with Brisbane having no ruckman. But yeah, again, it probably might turn out to be a waste of a trade. You could probably ride him as a bit of an on-field cash cow for 3 or 4 weeks or something, so he can go up in price. And
at
then
least
use the
one
cash.
more week with Schultz, I think, or
Yeah.
choosing to go with Martin, because then you can see if Martin's just a one-hit wonder or not. He's up
Exactly.
against GWS this week, so Mumford should absolutely annihilate him physically. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Moving on to...
Otherwise, sorry, just before we move into
go
that, just have a look at my team here and looking at players around that price. Shenton might be one to go for, even though I wouldn't consider it an upgrade, it'd be more so a downgrade, but with what he's scoring, he can probably score very similar to Schultz, and he's priced at 279, 400. He's averaging 77.25.
It's not worth the trade, Damon. You're too happy with your trades.
It depends how much money he's got and how many other cash cows he's got. He could probably downgrade another cash cow in one of his other areas and use that money to put towards shorts. But yeah, I'd wait for a week at least. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's going to be a quick one by Josh Nicholas. If Stevie J is cursed, who do I bring in instead for Job? You don't. You bring in Stevie. No questions.
Yep.
That's
easy done. Go for him.
Next one. Down to 5 trades. Is it worth getting rid of Cochin for another mid-premium? If you've got 5 trades, maybe towards the pointy end of the season, but not now, because he's still playing and he's still averaging high 90s, I believe. Yeah, 98. He had a shocking game on the weekend and he still managed to scrounge up an 81. So, yeah, I mean, I've got him, and that's just because I'm a Richmond fanatic. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he responds to the rest of the season. You've got Richmond coming up against Freo this week, so it'll be interesting to see if Crowley gets him or Delidio or what happens there. But yeah, I'm not holding out hope for a lot of huge scores from Cochin. But with 5 trades left, not yet. It's not worth getting rid of him, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, it actually sounds like I've written this question, but I haven't. So there you go. Someone else is down to 5 trades. I'm actually down to 4. But I was 5. Would have been 5 had not for Watson. But yeah, we had this debate going back, 3-4 weeks ago now, about whether or not to trade out Cochin. And back then I was saying trade him out. So if you did, you probably would have been happy. I kept hold of him and traded out Shuey, so I was happy with that. Cochin's doing a little bit better than Shuey. But yeah, I mean, if you've had him up until now for this long, yeah, I'd probably keep him for sure.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question. Wixism says, wanting to trade for Zolo, I've enough for a cheap forward option like Rewalt or Wingard, or should I downgrade a rookie to free up some cash and go for a premium? In my opinion, Wingard is a premium, so I would go to Wingard. Easy as that. He's not a key forward, so he's not super inconsistent. He's a proven match winner, so that's great for Supercoach. And his team is top of the league at the moment, so he's going to be in those winning positions. So, yeah, I wouldn't go for Wingard if I were in your position. Your thoughts, Damon?
Yeah, I'd definitely go for Wingard as well. That's a no-brainer for mine. Rewalt's just out of form completely. Teams have found out that if they stop Rewalt, they stop St Kilda. So on that, I'd go for Wingard. And also, just on Wingard as well, watching the Port game last week, he had a lot more time in the midfield than what I saw in previous weeks. He was actually swapping with Gray during the match, so that's a promising sign as well. So that's another reason to get on him.
Yep. Next question comes from our good mate Vernier Valentos. What is your go-to karaoke song? You can go first, Damon. What song do you really like to belt out?
I'd probably like to battle him in that song "Baby Come Back," and I could probably consider it like an ode to Dane Zorko, considering I'm getting back into my side this week. So I might belt that out. Zorko, come back. Who could see? I've got 4 trades.
My song would have to be 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. It's a timeless classic, but I'm not singing it now. So if anyone ever sees me, ask me to sing it. Maybe if I've had a bit to drink, I'll do it. But yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, it's a tearjerker. That's a very nice one.
Next question. What are your thoughts on Pierce Hanley and Steve Johnson? I like them. They're both in my team. Get them. Stevie, like we've said before, give priority to Hanley just because he's a midfielder and he's got the big ceiling, the big scores.
Yeah, I've got both of those players as well. So if you're getting both of those players into your side this week, definitely go for it.
Yeah. Just one thing, Jackman curse from Fernie again. You are quite cursed.
Yeah, I am this week. Yeah, the whole year.
Yeah, another one from Wixism. Thoughts on Heath Shaw? Showing some good form in the last 2 weeks. Can score big, looks tempting at 440k, or should I avoid break even of 40? Now, it's hard to tell with Heath Shaw because some years I feel like putting him on my never again list.
Yes.
And Robbie Gray is on my never again list, and this year he's proven me wrong. Sean Higgins was on my never again list, and this year he proved me wrong. So maybe this is the year for your, good
Redemption.
scorers. Yeah, because he's only had, 2 bad scores.
Yeah.
He had a bad score against Richmond, where he got a 34, and he was specifically targeted by Steve Morris. And he had a bad score of 62 against St Kilda in round 2. But other than that, he hasn't dropped below 84 all season, and he's got a top score of 134. So, some decent scoring from his shore.
Yeah.
The ball definitely goes in the back line enough for him to get a lot of the ball. And they actually play Brisbane this week as well. So you'll generally, from your less experienced side, you'll see a lot more erratic ball movement. So it'll just be bombed in there. And I think he's Shaw's the one that really enjoys mopping up the loose ball like that. Sure, if you've got Hanley already and you've got Yench and you're looking for another, budget option, I think he's Shaw's better than someone like your Shannon Hearn, because Shannon Hearn tends to be really targeted by a lot of teams, and I think he's Shaw's kind of escaped that a bit this year. So, yeah, some good insight by Wixism there. What do you think, David?
Yeah, just looking at his scoring output across the season, Heath Shaw, I'd kind of put him in the same class as Hanley. Yeah, as you say, apart from that 34 he scored against Richmond, he's actually scored quite well. His other lowest score, apart from that, was 62. So apart from that, he's been averaging, looking at that, the high 80s. So not too bad. And he's priced at $437,600, and he's actually quite cheap. So I reckon he's a complete bargain. So if you're looking at him, he'd definitely be one to consider for sure. As you said, they got Brisbane, Carlton. He averages 100 against Brisbane, 105 against Carlton. So you could probably see him averaging, sticking to his average, what he is at the moment, 91.80. So yeah, I'd definitely go for him.
Next question. Malcheski, goodbye. Yes, I got him last week, and if you were listening to Rejoice, then you would have got him as well, because he was very underpriced for his output, and that's mainly due to an injury he copped early on in the year. It really reduced his average, but his average is something like 101, but if you omit that injury, he's like 108, which makes him a number 2 defender, I believe, behind David Swallow. So, yeah, he's a good buy. Get him.
What's he priced at the moment, Melchizedek?
I think he's at 536. So he's cheaper than McVeigh.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he actually is cheaper than McVeigh. Yeah, so it's you're not too bad. I was gonna suggest going. So what's his average at the moment?
His actual average is 103, but he had a injury affected game early on in the year where he scored let me double check.
Yeah, so he's
no, he didn't have an injury affected game, but his first 3 games of the year were 86, 81, and 98, which are good, but they're not super great. And then since then he's got 111, 102, 104, 112, 80, 101, 144, 116. So yeah,
consistently
very consistent. Our good mate Mick Cameron Wood got on him a while ago. I kept looking at his team and thinking, why does he have Malcheski? Oh, he's just getting lucky every week. But no, he's been scoring well every week, and he's kept this secret from us. So
yeah.
I think we really need to get on.
Actually, no, he did mention this to me on one of the train rides back home from one of
I see some insider trading happening.
Insider trading, but I didn't get on him. He said to me the only reason he went for Malcheski at the time was because not many people were talking about him, and he was averaging quite well. And he's like, I need players in that are a point of difference. But of course now everyone's jumping on him, so it's kind of going to backfire for him. But he's got on him at the right time, and he's performing quite well. So yeah, on that note, I'd definitely go for him. Because otherwise, I was going to suggest going for someone like Kate Simpson, but he's 50,000 odd more. So yeah, he's just based on consistency. That's what you want in your side from players. So he's showing that a lot.
Yep, definitely. Next question coming all the way from Miami from LeBron James, asking, should I sell Daniel Jackson? I have 53K in the bank. Honestly, I don't know when Jackson's coming back, but his scoring is quite good when he's been playing. He had he's scoring 117, 115, 101, 99, 110, 115, injury score of 18, and then against Essendon he got 90, and then he was rested against North Melbourne, and he's not in this week against Fremantle. So you kind of want more information about what his injury is like. If you've had Jackson for a long time, good job, because he's been quite consistent. But again, he's not your super premiums, and your midfielders are so valuable. You know, you've got 8 of them. You want them to be among the top 10 performing midfielders of the year, and Jackson would probably be around 20, 25, even if you omitted that game of 18. So I'd sell him. Go to Stevie J. Stevie J is the one to trade this week.
Yeah, he's going by that. He's only another 50 odd grand, which he's got, I think. So, definitely go for Stevie J. And just looking at the injury update for the team lists, he's listed as having a hip flexor injury, and he was listed as a test for this week. So, it's a bit be a bit wary of that because it might be an ongoing thing as well if it's a hip flexor. So. I'd put the nail on the coffin and go for Johnson. You can't afford to wait, especially coming up against St Kilda this week, Stevie J, so he could belt out a massive score.
Yep. Next question from Harry Zenko. Thoughts on Barlow, Nathan Jones, Nick Nat, and Wingard? Oof, quite a bit. Wingard. Whoop. Barlow. Whoop. Nick Nat. Cox is listed as sore, right? So he'll be back, and I think Nick Nat really flourishes when it's just him. And they have even brought in Lycett this week, West Coast. So I don't know about Nick Nat, and honestly, I don't know enough about averaging 108. Wow, didn't realize that. But it kind of looks like he's a bit inconsistent. I mean, he's dropped below 100 5 times so far this season. And again, midfielders, you want the super premiums. So you can't, if you've got him, you've probably got more pressing matters, to deal with. If you don't have him, he's not someone that you need to bring in. And that's just my thoughts. Yours, Damien?
Yes, with Nick Nat, I think he's thereabouts. I think there's a chance he could keep his average, or what his output anyway at the moment. I reckon he could keep that average close to 100. So if you've got on him, you've got on him at the right time because his break-even's getting smaller and smaller, and he's going to keep rising in price. So I think he's a decent get. If last week wasn't your last chance, this week probably definitely is before he skyrockets, because. Did you say that he performs well or better without Cox?
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, I think he does as well. So that's another reason to get on him this week if you're looking at getting him. But it really depends who you're trading out and what the reasons are.
You've got to look long term. Like you can't do it just because he played well without Cox.
Yeah.
You need to get Mumford if you need a ruck.
Mm.
All right, that's about it for that one. Moving on from Aaron Mucci, Robbie Gray or Luke Parker? Good question. I'll go with Robbie Gray just because he's been super consistent this year. I know Parker has as well, but I mean, Port Adelaide supporters were always harping on that Robbie Gray kind of has Gary Ablett qualities in the forward line, and he does a little bit. I'll be honest. Not in terms of scoring yet, but I mean he's averaging 111 as a forward. So yeah, you can't beat that. He had first 3 weeks of 109, 79, 79, so but he hasn't dropped below 101 since then. So 111, 139, 101, 121, 126, 107, 109, and 140. So very good scoring by Robbie Gray. I really like him. Do you have Parker, Damon?
No, no, this is the player that's coming back to haunt me because I did have him in my initial side, and with a few minutes to go before the lockout for round one, I actually traded him out, and I traded him out, to Tom Mitchell, who was more expensive, because I had the money there, and I thought, I can afford Mitchell, so I might as well go for him. And I had my eye on Parker throughout the preseason, and he's performing well, and was meeting expectations, but I thought, maybe he's not going to live up to it. And it was actually the reverse, and Tom Mitchell did that. So he kind of has come back to haunt me, and I actually wanted to get him back into my side this year, but with my lack of trades, I'm going to have to settle for Zorko instead. But with Parker, he's a great player who's quite consistent. He's averaging 102, and just looking at his averages, he hasn't dropped past that since round 5. His highest was 104 in round 3, and then went down to 102, then rose back up and back down to 102. So he's consistent, but his ceiling isn't high like what Gray's is. He can score really, really high, Gray. That's because I think he has more time in the midfield. And only last week is when I saw him kind of divvy up his game time between forward and midfield. So pretty much consider Gray as a midfielder playing in the forward position in Supercoach. So I'd opt for Gray if you've got the money. Otherwise, if not, you wouldn't be doing anything wrong getting Parker.
You don't have a lack of trades. Everyone's got the same number of trades, Damon. You just ruined them. Melvin Dio, asks Nat Fife or Barlow for Watson. So it sounds like we've got a Fremantle fan here. I would go with Fife. He's much more consistent. He's only dropped below 100 once this season. And if he doesn't get suspended, he's basically guaranteed to get 100, 110 every week. And he has the capacity to go much higher. He can get up to, what's his highest score this season, 141, whereas Barlow, his highest score for the season is 132, and that was all the way back in round 1 before he got injured. And then since then, he's had 5 games back recently, and he hasn't broken the ton in 3 of them. So, I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah, out of those two, I'd go for Nat Fife. Mainly because he's a personal favourite of mine in terms of just being a player. But for Supercoach, he's probably more suited, I would have said at the start of the season, more suited to Dream Team or AFL Fantasy than Supercoach. But he's proved that wrong this season despite his disposal efficiency being still quite average. But he's a super player, can kick goals and loves to take in those big overhead marks. So I'd go for Nat Fife over Barlow. But you could... go for either or. Cool.
Moving on to Joel Russell. What's the optimum amount of trades to have now? The answer to that is more than Damon. I actually never answered. I have 6 trades left, so I'm not much better. I want to have probably 8 trades at the moment. 6 is kind of manageable, but my team is crap. I've still got a couple of upgrades to do, and I don't have much cash to do it. So if I had 8 trades, I would be able to do it. If you've managed your trades better than I have, just through better luck, then probably 6 is enough. You want to save, 3 for the finals if you're making them, which is looking like a shady prospect for me. But I mean, Damon, you don't get an opinion on this one, Damon, because you've used your trades.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, optimum amount of trades is to have more than what I do at the moment. Yeah. Wish I had more.
Next question. Dan Hanbury for Watson. Ooh. What's Hanbury averaging?
He started the season quite slow, but he worked his way into it and was bumping his way up there with some massive scores. What did he get about? I think he's kind of plateaued in a way now, but where are we? Let's get him up.
He's averaging 107.6. Quite good, actually, since round 5. 113, 138, 123, 159, 97, 104, 137. So, very good. And I think
his average, the way it is, you wouldn't think that he's scoring quite high, but it's because he had that crappy start to the season.
And I think it'll be interesting to see how he does this week against Port Adelaide with the top of the table clash. But I think with his hard running, he will obliterate Richmond. He will obliterate GWS because Sydney are going to come out breathing fire after what happened to them in round 1. Yeah, it's going to be some very big scores in rounds 14 and 15 for Dan Hanbury. I'd say 135 plus. So if you want to point a difference, yeah, sure, get on him. If you've got Johnson already.
Yeah. He's only owned by 2.8% of teams. Hanbury. So and he actually went down in price last week by $6,000. So his break even's 108, and he's projected to go up $5,000 or 5,400. And yeah, his season average is 107, but in his last 3, he scored 112 on average, and for his past 5, 124. So he's still going up in average, and he still will go up in price. So yeah, I mean, his projected scores over the coming weeks look massive. 120, 124, 114, 138. So yeah, go for him.
I think that Port projected score though is based on Port when they were crap. So I wouldn't read much into that. But the other ones, I'm sure. Moving on to the next one, Watson to Stevie J or Trelaw. Stevie. Simple as that.
Yeah, Stevie J.
Next one, need to downgrade Billings to free up some cash. Is Jeremy McGovern a good option? He will sit on my bench. Well, if he's going to sit on your bench and you're not relying on him to play, sure. If it's purely a cash grab, then why not? You know, for someone that's sort of playing. His first game was in round 6 where he got 45. Second game was last round against Hawthorn where he got 85. So, I mean, obviously you'd think he wouldn't be a laid out after scoring an 85 against a top quality side like Hawthorn. But, you know, there's a big gap between round 6 and round 12. So it seems like he's the sort of player that would get dropped first, like last in, first out sort of deal. But they do play Gold Coast and St Kilda next, so you know there's the possibility of him coming in and scoring some decent scores there. I mean, if you've got the luxury of being able to do a downgrade at this time in the season, go ahead, because there are some really fallen premiums that you could snap up for a cheap price if you get the cash for it. So yeah, sure, it gets the Matt seal of approval.
Yeah, I'll just back up exactly what you say, Joyce. I can't really talk because I haven't got the trades to really do any of these sort of trades. But yeah, I mean, it depends on your coverage as well. If he's just going to be sitting on your bench, you'd want to have someone else there in your secondary bench spot to back him up in case he is omitted. Because as you said, if the Eagles do find a nice run of form and get players back into their side, then he will probably be the first to get the chop as a youngster. That's just the way it is, as we saw with Loudon for the Hawks.
Yep. Moving on to the next one. We're just going to fire through the rest, guys, because it's getting a bit late.
Yeah.
Another one from Joel Russell. What are your thoughts on Nathan Jones for POD? Already did this. Too inconsistent for mine. Get someone like Stevie J or upgrade in another line. You can actually, the cool thing about this Q&A thing is that you can click on the questions once you see them. So click on like questions, move to answered questions. And then if you click on that particular question, it'll skip back to where in the video we talked about them. And then you can just listen to that again if you want to hear our opinions on them. So I know it can be a chore looking at this face all the time, but you know, it's a pretty cool tool. And yeah, I mean, we've got some really good questions here today, so it's really made us think about a few things like Hanbury, who's a very good option in retrospect. Yeah.
And also, Joyce, just looking at the questions as well, there's +2, +3, +1 against different ones. Is that people backing
people
up?
People can say, answer this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just in terms of adding importance to different questions if they want to answer it as well.
Yeah.
So that's an option as well. Cool.
Next one, Manny. Good time to bring in Nick Revolt. Like Damon said before, teams have figured out if you stop Rewalt, you stop St Kilda, so they're putting a lot more time into him, and his scoring's dropped as a result. Get someone like Wingard instead, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Same with you? Yeah. Who should I bring in for Michael Johnson? I only have 478k to spend. Yench?
Yeah, Yench, yep.
Yench,
Yench,
Hanley.
he's sure.
He's sure, yeah. Yeah, he's sure is probably the number one. Maybe I should get he's sure instead of Yench. Oh, here we go, Devin. it's happening. No, I think I'll stay with Yench just because I need the cash for future weeks, so I have to take the bargain option.
I need the cash for my non-existent trades in the future.
Yeah. Next question. For solo out, who should I bring in? Zorko, Hawkins, or Petrie? Or is there anyone else in mind? I have 260k in the bank. Should I catch in Hallahan or Lloyd? You know my thoughts on key positions. So Zorko, yes. Zorko, Wingard for forwards. You should have plenty of cash for that. You should cash in Lloyd because Richmond have had a lot of changes lately, and if Lloyd still can't get a game from that, then there's not much hope for him. I know he's got a tasty looking break even, but yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I think Hallahan could get maybe one more game just to finally finish off his price and then trade him out. But yeah.
Yeah, as to when that happens with Hallahan, I traded him out last week for Shenton, purely because I can't see him. Well, I can see him breaking back into the side, but him having a hard time, and you might be twiddling your thumbs whilst he's on the in the seconds, because you don't know when he's going to come back in. Hawthorn still have Mitchell as well, the big inclusion yet to come back into the he can play in the midfield and in the half back line. So you could probably cash in Hallahan, but yeah, you probably need to do it sooner rather than later because the downgrade options are quite scarce. And yeah, go for Zorko. Don't go for Hawkins or Petrie.
Next up, another one from our Miami friend. You go back to training, buddy. I thought I bought Brody Smith for Ryan Showmakers, but should I reverse that and get someone like Heath Shaw? You sound like a very reactive trader if you traded in Ryan Showmakers. Yeah, Heath Shaw. Sure. I think he's better than Brody Smith by a country mile. Yeah, that's basically it. Yep. Already answered that one. Thoughts on Harry Taylor? He's not playing the right role this season for it, in my opinion. So give him a skip. Oh, sorry, I have to select the question. Any rookies you guys would trade in this week? I can get any position due to my multi-positional players. If you need cash, McGovern's probably the best one to get. He's price cheap. He had a big score in his second game, so he'll increase, better over the coming weeks. And they've got a couple of easy games coming up. So Jeremy McGovern is the one I would bring in. Same as you, David?
Yeah, I'd say him. Otherwise, Shenton, probably last chance to get on him, but he's a higher end.
He's way too expensive now, in my
cash
opinion.
killer. Otherwise, the only other option I can think of is Litherland for Hawthorn. He's priced at 217,300, and his break even's -44, and he's projected to go up 41,500. So that's because he scored 115 against GWS, and last week he scored 59. So his scoring will probably average around 50-ish if he retains his spot. But yeah, that's a sticking point, and I don't think he will when Gibson will come back into the side.
Yeah. Vernie's saying Goddard is still relatively cheap. Yes, he is. He was relatively cheap last week, and he sputtered it up. So I'm a bit mad at him. But yeah, I mean, he's another option if you were looking for your cheaper midfielders. But Stevie J is just as cheap. So
yeah, can't go past Stevie.
Ooh, it's a good hypothetical. Fife, Sloan, Hanbury, or Barlow. We'll cross out Barlow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how Sloan's done this year, so give me a second. Sloan is... he's actually my draft league, so I should know how he's doing. Averaging 111.6, so quite good. Only dropped below the 100 once, which was an 83. It seems like he's kind of hovers around that 110, 120 mark, rather than getting, hundreds and then 140 the next week, like someone like Fife is able to. But he's priced quite reasonably, Sloan. Break even of 85, so he's not going to get much cheaper than what he is right now. So
Yeah.
I would go Sloan or Hanbury. Flip a coin. Heads, Hanbury, tails, Sloan.
Yeah. Out of those, I would go for Hanbury. We spoke of Fife before. He's a good player, but he's been suspended and injured throughout the year, so you don't want that sort of lingering over a player's head, especially leading into the finals. But Hanbury is showing good form. He's still relatively cheap for what he's scoring at the moment because of his poor start to the season, so I'd choose him.
Yep. Next up from Sparkley. Thoughts on Cloak with a low break-even? I was tempted to get Cloak a few weeks ago because of this low break-even. He was priced at like 330k, and I thought, oh, this is a bargain because he could score hundreds. Well, he can also score 30s, and that's why you don't get Cloak, because, yeah, don't get sucked in by the low break-even. It's not worth it. You want your super premiums that are reliable at this point of the season.
Yeah. My stance on key position players. He's been underperformed this year, and I just don't trust him.
Next up, from Matt Bates, Harbrow worth keeping. Well, he's only scored above 100 once this year, so probably not. You want to trade him out now before he drops even more in price, because he's had two very poor weeks of 52 and 69, so his break-even is 144, so trade him out now before, he drops any more. Adrian Martin asks a question that's really going on in my head. Would it be better to get Matthew Jensch or Heath Shaw? If you need cash to upgrade further areas of your side, Jensch, just because he gets you an extra 30k, or saves you an extra 30k. And if you just want points, I'd go with Heath Shaw, because he's the battled veteran, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, he's more experienced. Yeah.
Experienced, yeah. Next up, time to get rid of Tom Derricks, maybe for a Stefan Martin. Possibly. You wouldn't be trading them onto the field, though. Like, if you've got Tom Derricks as your second ruckman, you've done something wrong. Unless it's like due to an injury that's unfortunate, but you don't go from Derricks to Martin just for your third ruck, because that only gets you 60k.
Yeah.
So no, is my thoughts. If you're going to trade, I would keep Derricks. Pike's back this week, and Derek held his spot, so he's a good backup. His scoring probably will decrease, but he'll score something, so that if you've got laid out, then you get covered.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. When I saw Martin score in excess of 100 on the weekend, my initial thought was, oh yeah, I can down trade Derricks. This is before Watson. Yes, I know. I was already thinking of trading. This is before Watson got injured. This is before he got injured. Oh
man, you and your trades.
Out the window. I was thinking, maybe use Derricks as like a downgrade to Stefan Martin, who could be a cash cow, but you're only making 60k, and in order to really make the use of trades, which is funny for me to say, you want to net at least close to 100k in the one trade, especially this time of year as well, where trades are quite scarce, as I know.
Next one from Matt Bates, Stevie J or Dane Swan. Both have similar scores this year, but Swan's cheaper. Stevie has a better run home. Stevie, that's simple as that. This is not Swan's year. Not sure if he's done fantasy-wise, but you'd have to get pretty convincing evidence next pre-season if he keeps playing for him to be in my side next year. Stevie, simple as that.
Yeah, Stevie, I traded Swan into my side this year. Straight after his Anzac Day game, I thought he'd turned around his form, but he lured me in like a siren, lures in pirates to the rocks on their boat. So that's what happened to me, and I think Swan's on the decline now. So go for Stevie J, who's still on the up.
Yep. next one from LeBron. Stop asking questions. Should should I sell Will Langford for someone because he's been omitted for a few weeks now? I actually did that last week. It was a choice of Langdon or Langford. I got rid of Langford because he wasn't playing. So yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see him gain a bit more cash, but Hawthorn seem like they're a bit more settled now. Yeah, I'd get rid of him. Get rid of it now. It only costs what, 80 grand to upgrade to Yench and 100 to go to Heath Shaw. So not huge difference, but yeah, he's done a good job, Langford, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really depends if you got him on your field. If you do, I'd probably fork out the cash and go to someone like Yench, or even a little bit more to Hanley or, as you said, Shaw. But I've got Langford on my bench at the moment as coverage, and that's not working out because he's not on the Hawks side. But if you're using him as a cash cow, you can't really downtrade him to anyone because Buse, as we've seen, he's now been omitted. So apart from that, there's Litherland, and again, his spot is just as shaky. So yeah, I mean, it's up to you. You'll be sacrificing a potential spot if you go for someone like that because they might find their way back into the side.
Correct. And he also asks, is there anyone good that's priced under 400k? Nope, not at this stage of the year. Yeah, so you just have to deal with it. Anthony Recupero is just rubbing it in. The Ad Malcheski from round 1. Good job. And last question from Ryan White. Watson for Hartlett. Also traded Pollock for Stevie J. Good trade from Pollock to Stevie. And I think Watson, Hartlett, probably not Hartlett, Hanbury or Sloan, I think. It sounds to me like you're a Port supporter, so I don't think you'll want to trade in Sloan, even though he's averaging the best of the lot for the season. So if you can swallow your pride, get Sloan. But if not, Hanbury or Fife even. Just pick whichever one you like. It becomes much more bearable, and you don't hate the player if they have a bad score if you pick someone you like.
Yeah.
And I think I need to go back to that strategy next year because I did that at the start of this year, and then I cracked it and traded out the players that I liked, or I didn't include the players that I liked, like Bartel, and then he's gone and scored very well. So yeah, the like-to-player strategy is definitely a good one.
That's a new one. That's another one. That's one you consider. That's different.
But that's about all. So once this is done, it'll actually be automatically uploaded to the SCP YouTube account, so you can go back and look at it whenever you want. Yes, it's a pretty cool feature. And thanks everyone for joining in. We might be back doing this next week, but we'll see. We'll see. We're still unsure what we're doing for next week. But as for now, 2 more questions. Shuey de Grey, yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Should I keep Stevie J for Shenton and then keep Langdon or get Rioli and upgrade that? Yeah, get Stevie for... No, Shenton, you can hold on to Shenton for a bit more, and then Langdon go to Shaw. There.
Yeah. Or get Rioli. Rioli's injured. Or he's just come back from it.
I know. Don't get Rioli. All right. Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Oh, wait for it. I have been Matt Joyce, Supercoach God. Be sure to follow me on... You ready?
You jumped ahead. Wait, hold on.
Too bad. Follow me on Twitter at TigerMat123, and make sure to follow Damon as well on Twitter, the Wolf of SCP. Look at him. Look at his wolfishness. And
I've actually got some music to play us out as well.
Do you?
Ready for it? If it works, we'll try it out.
Go ahead.
If it plays. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Wait, hold on.
Coming. No!
Oh my god! Wait, it's loading now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I know what you're doing.
And it's not Baby Come Back.
It's not Baby Come Back?
No, I'm gonna reserve that for another week.
But make sure you are tweeting using the SCP Show hashtag. We do answer your questions throughout the week, as well as on the SCP Show, whenever we decide to do it. And make sure to tweet me your questions, because I will answer them on the Rejoice podcast every Monday, except this past Monday I had to pull an all-nighter. It was very busy. So, yeah, normally that'll go through. Damon seems to be failing miserably at playing.
Oh, wait,
this
here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Wait, let's see if it works now. Oh, yes. This is why.
What is why? You're disappointing, Damon.
You can't
Can
hear
you
it?
tell us what it is at least? No, I can't hear
Oh,
it.
you can't hear it. I was playing
It's
the.
in your headphones, probably. That's why.
Hold on, wait. Let me play it. Let me play it back. Let's see if this works now. Teething problems, people.
There we go.
Still cheap.
There
There we go.
Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
Yep. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next week. Bye.